My name is Shin Qingya. And 3 days ago I discovered that my husband was cheating on me. The way I found out was painfully melodramatic, the kind of scene you see all the time in TV dramas. I left work early to go home and get some documents, only to catch him and another woman on our marital bed. At that moment, I didn't lose my mind, didn't scream or cry, and didn't even make a sound. I simply stood quietly at the doorway, watching the man I had been married to for 3 years hold a young girl in his arms. Their intimacy so natural it was as if I had never existed at all. Jiang Chenian didn't notice me. He was far too focused on the woman in front of him. I knew that woman, Lin Ruoshi, a newcomer in his company's marketing department. Fresh out of school not long ago, she was very beautiful. The kind of innocent beauty you could remember at a glance. I remembered that when Jiang Chenian me enticed her for the first time 6 months ago. He had praised her work ability and said he would train her properly. Looking at it now, she had indeed been trained very well. I quietly slipped out of the room and left the house on tiptoe. The whole thing felt unreal, as if I were walking through a dream. As I walked along the street, I didn't even know where I was headed. My phone rang. It was my assistant, Gu Hansen. Mr. Shen, the design proposal for tomorrow is ready. Would you like to take a look at it first? His voice was as gentle as ever, carrying a faint trace of concern. Hanshin. I heard my own voice tremble slightly. I want to ask you a question. Go ahead. If you found that the person you trusted most had betrayed you, what would you do? There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line. Then Gu Hansen said softly, I would make the one who betrayed me pay the price. What kind of price? Losing the thing they cherished most. I suddenly laughed, standing by the side of the road, laughing into my phone until tears came to my eyes. Mr. Shen. Gu Hanshen's voice was a little tense. Are you all right? I'm fine. I wiped away my tears, my voice settling back into calm. Hansen, help me look into Jiang Chunyan's company's recent projects. I want to know if they have any fatal weaknesses. All right. Gu Hansen didn't ask why. He agreed at once. This is why I like him. He never questions my decisions, and he always supports me unconditionally. Gu Hanshen was the assistant I hired 3 years ago. He graduated from a prestigious university, was exceptionally capable, and had a very handsome face, one of those gentle, pleasing looks that instantly put people at ease. Many people said it was a waste of his talent. With his abilities, he could easily have gone to a better company and taken on a more important position. But he stayed by my side all along, diligently carrying out his duties as my assistant. I had once asked him why, and he merely smiled and said he liked his current job. Thinking back, no. Perhaps he had already seen through Jiang Chunyan's true colors long ago, only I was too foolish to remain kept in the dark. When I returned to the company, I found that Gu Hansen was still there, in the office. Only a desk lamp was on. He sat before the computer, looking up the information I wanted. It's this late. Why are you still not heading home? I was waiting for you. He lifted his head to look at me, his gaze carrying a depth I had never seen before. Mr. Shin, what happened? Looking at his face, I suddenly felt an urge to lean on him. Over the past 3 years, Jiang Chenian had become busier and busier, coming home less and less, and the time he spent talking with me had dwindled to almost nothing. On the contrary, Gu Hansen accompanied me every day until late at work, listened as I talked about design concepts, and discussed creative proposals with me. Sometimes I even felt that Gu Hansen was more like family to me than Jiang Chunyan. Jiang Chunyan cheated on me. I said it calmly. I saw it with my own eyes today. Gu Hanshen's hand froze over the keyboard. His expression didn't change much, but I saw his grip on the mouse tighten. I'm sorry, he said. Why are you apologizing? Because I already knew. Gu Hansen looked at me, his eyes carrying both guilt and tenderness. I found their hotel records. And the transfer records too. But I didn't know how to tell you. I froze. When did you find out? 2 months ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid it would upset you. He stood up and walked over to me. And because I knew you would find out sooner or later. I looked at the man standing before me. The one who had quietly protected me all this time. And suddenly a surge of warmth welled up in my heart. Thank you. You're welcome, Gu Hansen said softly. Protecting you is what I should do. Then can you help me with something now? What is it? Help me ruin Jiang Chunian. I saw a dangerous glint flash in Gu Hansen's eyes. And then he smiled. My pleasure. 2. Over the next week, I played the part of a wife who knew nothing. I came home on time every day. Cooked for Jiang Chunian. Asked him how work was going. And even took the initiative to ask whether he had been too exhausted lately. Jiang Chunian was obviously moved by my gentle offensive. N.D. even took the initiative to suggest that we go see a movie together this weekend. Really? I pretended to be pleasantly surprised. It's been so long since we last went to the movies together. Yeah. I've been too busy with work lately and neglected you. Jiang Chunian reached out and patted my head. Once this project is over, I'll make it up to you properly. I nodded with a smile. Lu. But inside I was sneering coldly. What project? It was nothing more than an excuse to keep a mistress company. By the way, how's that Lin Ruoshi at your company doing? Last time you said she was very capable. I brought up the name on purpose. For a fleeting moment, Jiang Chunian's expression turned unnatural. But he quickly returned to normal. Not bad. She's an employee with potential. Good. Then train her well. Watching Jiang Chunian struggle to keep his expression calm, I felt a surge of satisfaction rise within me. Acting. Who can't do it? The next day at work, I deliberately wore a red dress. The kind of style Jiang Chunian liked best. Ms. Shin looks especially beautiful today, Gu Hansen said when he saw me. Thank you for the compliment. I smiled. How are the materials coming along? Everything's ready. Gu Hansen handed me a folder. Jiang Chunian's company is currently negotiating a very big project. If it falls through, his company will lose at least 30 million. I opened the folder. Inside were detailed project materials and an analysis of Jiang Chunian's compa. New York's financial condition. Well done. I nodded in satisfaction. Anything else? And this. Gu Hansen took out a tablet computer. Detailed information on Lin Ruoshi, including her family background, education, and recent spending records. I studied it carefully. And the more I looked, the more interesting it seemed. So Lin Ruoshi wasn't some innocent little white rabbit. After all, she had done something like this before. Specifically going after married men. Jiang Chunian had really kicked an iron plate this time. Her recent spending record is a little interesting. I pointed at one of the items. A Chanel bag 100,000 yuan. And a Cartier watch. 150,000. These were all bought for her by Mr. Jiang. Gu Hansen said. I found the transfer records. 50,000 yuan in 3 months from Jiang Chunian. I sneered. Her appetite is hardly small. Do you want me to send these to Mrs. Jiang to look at? No. I closed the folder. I have a better way. At noon, I gave Jiang Chunian a call. Honey, I'm craving the food you make today. Can you come home a little earlier? Jiang Chunian's voice sounded a little troubled. I'm afraid not today. There's an important meeting at the company. What kind of meeting is so important? It's that new project. I need to discuss it with the client in detail. All right then. But you should take care of yourself. Don't overwork too much. After hanging up, I smiled. An important meeting. I think it was more like an important date. At 4 in the afternoon. I arrived punctually at the cafe downstairs from Jiang Chuanan's company. The view here was excellent. The entrance and exit of the company building were clearly visible. At 5:30, I saw Jiang Chuanan come out of the building. He didn't drive his own car, but instead got into a taxi. I immediately sent Gu Hansen a message. He's out. Proceed as planned. Soon. Gu Hansen replied. Received. I followed that taxi all the way to an upscale restaurant in the city center. This was the place where Jiang Chuanan and I had gone for our wedding anniversary. I never expected him to bring another woman here now. How ironic. I found a seat across from the restaurant and soon SP. Aunt Lin Ruashi. She was wearing a white long dress and had on delicate makeup. Looking truly beautiful. The moment Jiang Chuanan saw her, his expression was as if he were looking at some priceless treasure. I took out my phone and started taking photos. Every photo was taken clearly. Jiang Chuanan pulled out a chair for Lin Ruashi, picked food for her, and even kissed the back of her hand in public. Looking at those photos, I couldn't quite tell what I was feeling. Anger, disappointment, or relief. Maybe all of them. Just then, my phone rang. President Shen. Everything is ready. Gu Hanshen's voice came through the phone. Tomorrow morning. Mr. Jiang will receive that surprise. Good. I looked at the two people embracing in the restaurant. Let's see how much longer he can keep smiling. After hanging up, I stood up and left. Since the play has already begun, then let it become even more exciting. Jiang Chuanan. Did you think betraying me would come without a price? You were wrong. 3. The next morning, after Jiang Chuanan received a phone call, his expression turned very ugly. I pretended to be reading a magazine, but in fact I had been watching his reaction all along. What? The project's been cancelled. Jiang Chuanan's voice rose sharply. How is that possible? Didn't they say everything was fine just yesterday? No one knew what was said on the other end of the line. But Jiang Chuanan's face grew paler and paler. I'll be at the company right away. He hung up the phone and hurriedly started getting dressed. What happened? I asked with concern. There's an urgent matter at the company. I have to get there as soon as possible. Jiang Chuanan rushed out without even eating breakfast. After he left, I put down the magazine, picked up my phone, and called Gu Hansen. Did it work? Perfectly. Gu Hanshen's voice held satisfaction. The client not only cancelled the partnership, but also demanded that President Jiang pay the breach of contract penalty. How much? 30 million. I couldn't help but laugh. Well done. This is only the beginning. Gu Hansen said. There's something even more exciting coming next. At noon, I received a message from Gu Hansen. President Jiang is probably having a terrible headache right now. Lin Ruashi borrowed him 500,000 this morning, saying there was an urgent matter at home. I looked at the message, feeling delighted. This was truly the perfect case of adding frost upon snow. In the afternoon, I made a special trip to bring Jiang Chuanan lunch. The receptionist at Jiang Chuanan's company knew me and let me go straight upstairs. There was a strong smell of smoke in Jiang Chuanan's office. He was sitting behind his desk, a pile of documents spread out in front of him, and he looked noticeably haggard. Wife, what brings you here? Seeing me, Jiang Chuanan forced out a smile. I brought you lunch. I set the insulated container on his desk. You were in such a hurry this morning that you didn't even have breakfast. Thanks, wife. Jiang Chuanan reached out to hug me, but I deftly avoided him. Eat first. Your health comes first. I sat down in the chair opposite him. Did something happen at the company? You look exhausted. Jiang Chuanan let out a sigh. Ran into a bit of trouble. There's a problem with the project. Is it serious? Not too bad. It should be solvable. Jiang Chenian said it lightly. But I saw the hand holding his chopsticks trembling ever so slightly. Do you need my help? Our company's cash flow is still relatively healthy lately. I said that on purpose. Jiang Chunian's eyes lit up for a moment, but quickly dimmed again. No need. I can handle it myself. All right then. But let me know any time if you need help. I stood up. I'm heading back to the company first. Remember to finish your meal. As I stepped out of Jiang Chunian's office, I ran into Lin Ruoshi in the elevator. When she saw me, she clearly froze for a moment, then forced herself to stay composed and said, "Hello, Mrs. Jiang." "Hello, Miss Lin." I smiled and nodded. "I've heard from Jiang Chunai that you're very capable at work. Keep up the good work." "Thank you, Mrs. Jiang." Lin Ruoshi's smile was a little stiff. There were only two of us in the elevator, and the atmosphere felt somewhat awkward. I deliberately broke the silence. "By the way, Miss Lin, your bag today is very pretty Chanel." Lin Ruoshi instinctively tightened her grip on the bag in her hands. "Yes, it's really nice. I like this style too. But it's a bit expensive, over 100,000 yuan." I sighed. Young people like Miss Lin are really impressive, being able to afford such an expensive bag so quickly. Lin Ruoshi's expression turned slightly unnatural. "A friend gave it to me." "What a good friend," I said meaningfully. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped out, turning back to Lin Ruoshi and saying, "Miss Lin, one should know how to be content. If you're too greedy, you're likely to take a hard fall." Looking at Lin Ruoshi's panicked expression, I felt utterly pleased. When I returned to the company, Gu Hansen was already waiting for me. "Mr. Jiang received several more debt collection calls this afternoon," he reported. "He seems to be under a lot of pressure." "What about Lin Ruox?" I just saw her go to Mr. Jiang's office. She stayed there for half an hour before coming out. And when she did, her face looked terrible." I nodded. "Looks like they've started blaming each other. Should we fan the flames a little more?" Gu Hansen asked. "No need to rush. Let the bullet fly for a while," I said, sitting in the office chair. "The Jiang Chenian of now is like a trapped beast. They'll throw himself into disarray sooner or later." Sure enough, when Jiang Chenian came home that night, he looked as wilted as an eggplant, ant beaten by frost. "Honey, let's talk," he said, sitting on the sofa, his expression grave. "What are you talking about?" I pretended not to know. "I want to borrow some money from you." When Jiang Chenian said he wanted to borrow money, I was washing dishes in the kitchen. At those words, my hand paused for a moment, then went on washing as if nothing had happened. "How much do you want to borrow?" 50 million. With a crash, the plate in my hand slipped and fell into the sink. I turned to look at Jiang Chenian, my face wearing just the right amount of shock. 50 million. What happened? Jiang Chenian rubbed his hands together, not daring to meet my eyes. "The company ran into a bit of trouble and needs some cash flow." "What kind of trouble requires 50 million? I walked over and sat down in front of him. "Chenian, are you hiding something from me?" "No. It's just that there was a problem with the project, and we need to pay compensation." Sweat began to bead on Jiang Chunian's forehead. "Honey, trust me. I'll definitely pay you back." I looked at the man I had been married to for 3 years, and my heart was a jumble of bitter, complicated emotions. Once, I had thought he was the one I could entrust my life to. Now it seemed he was nothing more than a scumbag who would borrow money from his wife just to keep his mistress happy. 50 million isn't a small sum, I said deliberately, putting him on the spot. "I need some time, T. Oh, think about it. Can you be a little faster?" Jiang Chenian said anxiously. "The bank is pushing very hard. Then you need to tell me exactly what happened first. I looked at him. At the very least, I should know what the money is being borrowed for. Shouldn't I? Jiang Chenian hesitated for a long time before speaking. Here's the situation. Our company has recently been negotiating a major project. We've already invested a great deal of money. But the client suddenly changed their mind. Not only did they cancel the partnership, they're also demanding that we pay liquidated damages. How much are the liquidated damages? 30 million. What about the other 20 million? I pressed. Jiang Chunyan's expression became even more unnatural. There are still some other debts that need to be handled. What other debts? Wasn't it just the money spent on Lin Ruoxi? I sneered inwardly. But on the surface I looked deeply worried. How could this happen? Weren't things going very well with this project before? I don't know either. The client suddenly changed their attitude. Jiang Chenian said gloomily. Maybe they were poached by a competitor. A competitor? I almost laughed out loud. There was no such thing as a competitor. It was clearly the handiwork of Gu Hansen and me. Have you thought of any other way? For example, getting a bank loan. I kept up the act. I tried. But the paperwork is too complicated. And there isn't enough time. Jiang Chuanan grasped my hand. Honey. Only you can save me. Looking at the pleading expression on Jiang Chuanan's face, I suddenly felt a little sick. This man had betrayed me without the slightest hesitation. And when he needed my help, he could still put on such a pitiful act. I understand. I drew my hand back. Let me think of a way. Really? A glimmer of hope flashed in Jiang Chunyan's eyes. Honey. I knew you were the best. But I have one condition. I looked at him. I want to see your company's financial statements. And all the materials related to this project. Jiang Chunyan's expression shifted slightly. That is a de secret. So it's not very convenient. Then there's nothing more to discuss. I said coolly. 50 million is no small sum. I at least need to know how great the risk is. Okay. I'll bring it to you tomorrow. Jiang Chenian hurriedly agreed. That night, Jiang Chenian slept uneasily, tossing and turning over and over again. I lay beside him, listening to his breathing, while I calculated my next move in my mind. 50 million. He sure wished. Early the next morning, Jiang Chenian went to the company to get the documents. I took this opportunity to call Gu Hansen. Jiang Chenian borrowed 50 million from me last night. That was expected. Gu Hansen's voice was very calm. He has no other choice now but to me to you. I'm planning to agree to lend it to him. What? Gu Hansen was clearly taken aback. You're really going to lend it to him? Of course not. I smiled. I'm going to make him understand what it means when great expectations lead to even greater disappointment. What do you plan to do? First agree to it. Then go back on my word at the most critical moment. My voice turned cold. I want to watch the expression on his face as he falls from heaven into hell. I understand. Gu Hansen said. What do you need me to do? Help me prepare a contract. I said. A loan contract. The interest needs to be a little higher. And the default clauses need to be a little stricter. Okay. I'll prepare it right away. After hanging up, I started changing clothes. Today, I had to go to the bank and transfer the money into an account Jiang Chenian couldn't find. Since he wanted money, I would play along with him to the very end. At noon, Jiang Chenian came back carrying a pile of documents. Wife, these are the company's financial statements and project materials. He set the files on the coffee table. Take a look. I opened the files and pretended to study them carefully. Actually, I'd already looked through these materials a long time ago. Gu Hansen had prepared them very thoroughly. This project has indeed suffered a huge loss. I let out a sigh. Chunyan, your company's financial situation is even worse than I imagined. That's exactly why I need your help. Jiang Chenian sat beside me. Wife. You have to save me. I can lend you the money. I looked at him. But I have conditions. What are the conditions? Tell me. I'll agree to them all. First, we need to sign a formal loan contract. Okay, no problem. Second, the annual interest rate is 10%. Jiang Chenian was stunned for a moment. Isn't this interest rate a bit high? The interest on bank loans isn't low either. And right now you can't get a loan at all, I said indifferently. If you think it's too high, you can borrow from someone else. No, I agree, Jiang Chenian said hurriedly. Third, if you can't repay on time, your company's shares must be transferred to me. This time, Jiang Chenian remained silent for a long time. Darling, isn't this condition a little too harsh? Chenian, I looked at him. You need to understand. I'm not a bank, I am your wife. I'm already taking a huge risk by being willing to put up 50 million to help you. But, no. There are no buts. I stood up. Either accept my terms, or forget it. Seeing the resolute expression on my face, Jiang Chenian ultimately gave in. Fine, I agree. 5. On the day the contract was signed, I deliberately wore a black business suit. Gu Hansen had prepared all the documents in advance, including the loan contract, the guarantee agreement, and the preliminary contract for the transfer of Shar. Yes. Jiang Chenian looked at those documents, his face turning a little pale. Wife, aren't these contracts a little too formal? We're husband and wife. We really need to make this so complicated. Precisely because we are husband and wife, we need to keep the accounts clear. I sat across from him, my tone calm. Chunian, business is business. Feelings are feelings. That's the basic principle. Jiang Chenian picked up the pen, his hand trembling slightly. I knew he was hesitating, and I knew he was afraid. But by now, he no longer had a choice. A breach penalty of 30 million, plus various debts if he couldn't resolve them in time. His company would go bankrupt. By then, it wouldn't just be a matter of money. His reputation would be completely ruined. There's one more thing. I suddenly spoke. I need you to add an additional clause to the contract. What clause? If I discover any fraudulent behavior on your part, this money must be returned immediately, along with double the penalty for breach of contract. Jiang Chenian's hand froze in midair. What counts as fraudulent behavior? For example, diverting the funds for other purposes, or concealing the company's true situation. I looked him in the eye. You wouldn't lie to me, would you? Of course not. Jiang Chenian forced a smile. How could I possibly lie to you? Looking at the insincere expression on his face, a surge of satisfaction rose in my heart. If he knew that I had already uncovered all his secrets, I wondered what expression he would make. Then sign it. In the end, Jiang Chenian still signed the contract. After signing, he let out a long breath, as if a burden of 1,000 pounds had finally been lifted from his shoulders. Wife, thank you. He reached out to hug me. I promise, I'll pay you back within a year. I hope so. I avoided his embrace. But Chunian, let me be clear. If you breach the contract, I'll enforce it according to the terms. I won't go easy on you just because we're husband and wife. I understand. Jiang Chenian nodded. I won't let you down. Won't it let me down? He had already disappointed me beyond measure. That afternoon, after Jiang Chenian received the money, he went at once to handle the matter of the breach of contract penalty. I received a call from the bank in my office and confirmed the transfer details. The 50 million has already been transferred. I said to Gu Hansen, now it all depends on how he performs, according to my investigation. 10 million of that 50 million will be transferred to Lin Ruoshi. Gu Hansen said. She's been looking at houses lately. Getting ready to buy a villa. A villa worth 10 million. I sneered. Her appetite really is enormous. Do you want me to stop it? No need. I shook my head. Let them spend it. The more they spend, the better. 3 nights later. Jiang Chenian came home after drinking. He looked to be in a very good mood. Humming a tune as he came through the door. Wife, I'm back. His voice was loud. Clearly drunk. How did you end up drinking so much? I asked. Feigning concern. Today is worth celebrating. Jiang Chenian said as he swayed onto the sofa. The company's crisis has been resolved. And I can get back to work without worry. That's good. I poured him a glass of water. By the way, the money was all used for the right purposes. Right. Of course. Jiang Chenian took the glass. It was all used to pay off debts. He didn't even blink when he lied. I really underestimated him. Chu Nian. Let me ask you something. I sat across from him. If one day I found out you had betrayed me, what do you think I would do? Jiang Chunyan froze for a moment. Then smiled. Honey. Why would you ask something like that? How could I possibly betray you? I was just asking. I smiled too. After all, there are so many temptations out there these days. Plenty of men end up making mistakes. I'm not that kind of person. Jiang Chenian thumped his chest in assurance. The one I love most in this life is you. I'd never betray you. Listening to H. is solemn, heartfelt declaration. I almost wanted to applaud. Not bad acting. Too bad I was no longer the foolish woman he could fool. That's good. I stood up. Get some rest early. I'm going to take a shower first. In the bathroom. I sent Gu Hansen a message. Starting tomorrow. Phase 2 of the plan. Very quickly. He replied. Received. Phase 2 was to let Jiang Chunan experience what true hopelessness felt like. Did he think that once he got my 50 million, he'd be safe? Too naive. The real game has only just begun. 6. The next morning. Jiang Chenian received a phone call that brought him fully to his senses. What? The tax bureau wants to audit our accounts. His voice sharpened. Why are they suddenly checking our company? Whatever was said on the other end of the line. Jiang Chunyan's expression grew increasingly grim. I understand. I'll be there right away. After hanging up, Jiang Chenian hurriedly began changing clothes. What happened this time? I asked with feigned concern. The tax bureau wants to audit the company's accounts. Jiang Chenian said as he dressed. God knows which bastard reported us for tax evasion and underpayment. Could it be a competitor causing trouble? I asked cautiously. Very likely. Jiang Chunyan's expression was dark. Damn it. Those people are truly despicable. Watching Jiang Chunyan's frantic, exasperated look, I felt a secret thrill of delight. Of course it was a competitor's doing. Only this competitor was me. Then go handle it. Q. Yukli. If you need any help, contact me anytime. Okay. Jiang Chunyan kissed me, then hurried out the door. After he left, I immediately called Gu Hansen. How is it going over at the tax bureau? They've already started auditing the accounts. Gu Hansen's voice carried a note of satisfaction. Based on the leads we provided, they should be able to find the problem very soon. What's the matter? Jiang Chunyan's company has indeed engaged in tax evasion and underreporting. And the amount is not small, Gu Hansen said. In addition, they also found some fraudulent invoices. I couldn't help but laugh. Well done. This is just the appetizer, Gu Hansen said. There's something even or exciting this afternoon. What? The bank side will suddenly call in the loan. I froze for a moment. Call in the loan. Jiang Chunyan's company previously had a bank loan of 20 million yuan. Gu Hansen explained. Through certain channels, We made the bank question their company's ability to repay it. So the bank wants to recall the loan early. That's right, Gu Hansen said. And it's an unconditional recall. You must pay it all back within a week. That move was too ruthless. Jiang Chunian didn't have any extra funds at all right now. If the bank called in the loan, he could only use the money I lent him to pay it back. But that Oni had already been blown through more than half by him. And it simply wasn't enough to pay back the bank. Hanshin, you're truly brilliant. I praised him sincerely. It's my honor to work for you. Gu Hanshin's voice was very gentle. President Shen, I'd like to ask you a question. Question. After this is over, what do you plan to do? I knew what he meant. After Jiang Chunyan's matter was settled, I would divorce him. And then what? I haven't figured it out yet. I answered honestly. Maybe I'll go abroad to clear my head. Or maybe I'll focus on running the company. And me? Gu Hansen suddenly asked. Can I still stay by your side? I froze. For the past 3 years, Gu Hansen had been my most capable assistant. And the person I trusted most. But I had never imagined that his feelings for me had already gone beyond the scope of work. Hanshin, I didn't know how to answer. I'm sorry. I was too presumptuous. Gu Shin seemed to realize something. I shouldn't have said those things at a time like this. No. You weren't presumptuous, I said softly. It's just that I'm not in the mood to think about these things yet. I understand. Gu Hansen said. I'll wait until you've made up your mind. After inging up the phone. My feelings were somewhat complicated. Gu Hansen was a very good man, outstanding, gentle, considerate, and loyal to me. If it weren't for Jiang Chunyan's betrayal, perhaps I would never have noticed that there was such a person beside me, quietly protecting me all along. At 3 in the afternoon, Jiang Chunyan called me. Honey, I'm in a bit of trouble right now. Can you come to the company? His voice sounded very tired and very desperate. What happened? The bank is calling in the loan. And I need 20 million right now. Jiang Chunyan's voice trembled slightly. Can you lend me some more money? Borrow again. I deliberately raised my voice. Chunyan, have you forgotten? I just lent you 50 million. I know. But the situation is urgent right now. What about the money you borrowed before? I cut him off. Didn't you say it was for paying off debts? Why do you need money again now? There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Wife, could you not ask so many questions for now? The urgent matter comes first. Jiang Chunyan pleaded. Once this is over, I'll explain everything slowly. No. My tone hardened. Chunyan, I need a reasonable explanation. 50 million isn't a small sum. You can't expect me to blindly fork over another 20 million. Can you? Jiang Chunyan stammered, unable to get the words out. If you can't give me a satisfactory explanation, I refuse to lend you any more money. I said coldly, and according to the contract, if you divert the funds, you must immediately repay the principal and pay the penalty for breach of contract. No, don't. Jiang Chunyan's voice turned panicked. Wife, you can't do this to me. We're husband and wife. Precisely because we're husband and wife, I can't tolerate you lying to me. After saying that, I hung up the phone, sitting in the office, looking out at the scenery beyond the window. I felt lighter than I ever had before. Jiang Chunyan, so you've come to this day too. 7. That night, Ji Chunyan did not come home. I ate dinner alone, then sat in the living room watching TV. At 10 o'clock, the doorbell rang. I thought Jiang Chunyan had forgotten his keys. But when I opened the door, it was Lin Ruoshi. There were still traces of tears on her face, and her makeup was smudged. She looked rather disheveled. Mrs. Jiang. I'd like to talk to you. Her voice was a little hoarse. Come in. I stepped aside. Though there's really nothing for us to talk about. Lin Ruoxi walked into the living room and stood there. Not knowing what to say. Sit down. I pointed. To the sofa. Would you like something to drink? No need. After Lin Ruoxi sat down. She looked at me and said. Mrs. Jiang. I know you already know everything. Know what? I pretended not to understand. Knowing about my relationship with Jiang Chenian. Lin Ruoxi bit her lip. I'm sorry. It was my fault. I shouldn't have been with a married man. Looking at the remorseful expression she put on. I nearly laughed out loud. Miss Lin. Do you think an apology is enough? I said indifferently. You destroyed someone else's family and hurt someone else's feelings. Do you really think a simple I'm sorry can solve everything? I know an apology is useless. Tears began to roll down Lin Ruoxi's cheeks. But I really know I was wrong. I'm willing to leave. And I'll never see Jiang Chenian again. Why? I asked curiously. Did he dump you? Lin Ruoxi's expression changed slightly. But she didn't answer. I understood. It must be that Jiang Chenian was now struggling to protect himself. With neither the mood nor the ability to keep supporting her anymore. Miss Lin. I'm very curious. I shifted into a more comfortable position. You're so beautiful, why would you choose a married man? Lin Ruoxi hesitated for a moment. I didn't know he was already married at the time. Oh, is that so? I raised an eyebrow. Then why didn't you leave once you found out? Because I love him. Even Lin Ruoxi herself didn't quite believe those words as she said them. Love him. I laughed. Miss Lin. Do you love him as a person? Or do you love his money? I'm not in it for the money. Lin Ruoxi hurriedly defended herself. Not for the money. I stood up and walked over to her. Then where did all these luxury brands on you come from? The Chanel bag. The Cartier watch. And that villa you've been eyeing lately that's worth 10 million. Lin Ruoxi's face went completely pale. Mrs. Jiang. You've misunderstood. What exactly have I misunderstood? I said with a cold laugh. Miss Lin. In 3 months. You spent 8 million yuan of Jiang Chenian's money. And you still say it wasn't for money. I didn't. You didn't. I took out my phone and showed her a photo. This is yesterday afternoon's transfer record. Jiang Chenian transferred 5 million yuan to you for the down payment on a house. Seeing this photograph, Lin Ruoxi was completely at a loss for words. Miss Lin. You came to see me today not to apol. Oh gay eyes. But to plead on his behalf. Didn't you? I saw through her thoughts. Jiang Chenian is in trouble now. You're afraid of getting dragged into it. So you want me to let him off? No. It's not like that. I really know I was wrong. That's enough. I cut her off. Miss Lin. Do you think I'm an idiot? If you really knew you were wrong, would you still have accepted his 5 million yesterday? Lin Ruoxi was left speechless by what I said. Let me tell you the truth. I said. Sitting back down on the sofa. Jiang Chenian now owes me 50 million yuan. Add to that the 20 million from the bank and the tax bureau's fines. And he's completely finished. What? Lin Ruoxi looked at me in shock. Where do you think that money came from? I said coldly. It was all my money. Jiang Chenian spent every last cent of it to keep you. I don't know. Lin Ruoxi's voice grew very soft. Now you do. I stood up. Miss Lin. I suggest you hurry up and return that 5 million. Otherwise, once Jiang Chenian goes bankrupt, you won't be able to escape the consequences either. I can't pay it back. Can't pay it back. I looked at her. Why can't you pay it back? The down payment has already been made. Lin Ruoxi began to cry. I thought he truly loved me. I thought we would have a future. Watching her weep so heartbreakingly, I felt not the slightest bit of sympathy. This was the price of greed. Miss Lin. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world, I said coldly. You've enjoyed a life that wasn't yours to have. Now it's time to pay the price. Mrs. Jiang, please. Please forgive me. Lin Ruoshi knelt down. I truly know I was wrong. I'm willing to do anything to make amends. Anything. I looked at the woman kneeling on the floor. Fine. I'll give you a chance. What chance? Tomorrow. Jiang Chenian will come to you for money. You tell him all the money was lost to a scam, there's not a single cent left. A flash of viciousness crossed my eyes. Then tell him you're pregnant. And that he has to take responsibility. What? Lin Ruoshi widened her eyes. I'm not pregnant. I know you're not pregnant. But you have to pretend you are. I let out a cold laugh. Take it as the final blow to Jiang Chunyan. Wouldn't doing that be hurting him? Hurting him? I bent down to look at her. Miss Lin. Do you think he has any right to talk about being hurt? Lin Ruoshi bit her lip and, in the end, nodded. I understand. Good. I smiled in satisfaction. Remember. Act a little more convincingly. Otherwise, I'll make you regret ever coming into this world. After seeing Lin Ruoshi off, I sent Gu Hansen a message. There'll be a good show to watch tomorrow. Soon. He replied. Looking forward to it. Jiang Chenian. Your doomsday is almost here. 8. The next morning. While I was in a meeting at the company, I suddenly heard an argument breaking out outside. Through the glass door, I saw Jiang Chenian arguing with the front desk. I'm President Shin's husband. What right do you have to keep me from going up? I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. Without an appointment, you can't go upstairs. The receptionist was very firm. I had Gu Hansen handle it and continued with the meeting myself. 10 minutes later, Gu Hansen returned. President Jiang said he had an urgent matter to see you about. And he was very agitated. Tell him to wait. I didn't even look up. No one is to see me before the meeting ends. Another half-hour passed before the meeting finally ended. I strolled slowly to the reception room. And Jiang Chenian was already growing impatient from waiting. Wife. Seeing me, he immediately sprang to his feet. You're finally here. What's so urgent? I sat down opposite him. Didn't I say to call me if there was anything? It can't be explained clearly over the phone. Jiang Chunyan's eyes were already red. Wife. You have to save me. What now? The bank is pressing hard. We have to pay back the money this afternoon, or they'll freeze the company. Jiang Chenian seized my hand. Honey, I really have no choice. Then go ask Lin Ruoshi for the money. I said deliberately. Didn't you give her a lot of money? Jiang Chunyan's expression changed slightly. How do you know that? I know everything. I pulled my hand back. Jiang Chunai. Did you really think I was that stupid? Seeing my cold expression, Jiang Chunai finally realized how serious this was. Wife. Did you find out something? I know you cheated on me. I know you spent my money on another woman. I also know you've been lying to me all along. I said each word slowly and clearly. Jiang Chunai. Do you still think I'd help you? Jiang Chunyan's face turned completely pale. Wife. I can explain. Explain what? I stood up. Explain why you betrayed me. Explain why you gave my money to your mistress. Or explain why you treated me like an idiot. I never treated you like an idiot. No. I let out a cold laugh. Then what was all that denying your relationship with Lin Ruoshi yesterday? If that's not treating me like a fool, what is it? Jiang Chenian opened his mouth, but no words came out. Let me tell you the truth. I walked up to him. From the very first day you cheated, I knew everything. Your hotel records, your transfer records, even what the two of you said to each other last night, I knew it all. Impossible. Ji Chenian took a step back. Impossible. I took out my phone and played a recording. The recording clearly carried the voices of Jiang Chenian and Lin Ruoxi in conversation, discussing how they would continue to keep it from me. Hearing the recording, Jiang Chenian completely broke down. Darling, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He fell to his knees. Please forgive me. I'll never do it again. Forgive you. I looked down at the man kneeling on the ground, and all I felt was disgust. Jiang Chenian, do you know what I hate most? What? Betrayal. My voice turned ice cold. And you've done exactly the one thing I hate most. I really know I was wrong. Give me one chance. Okay. Jiang Chenian burst into tears. I swear. From now on I'll love only you. Swear. I laughed. You made vows when you got married too. And what happened? Jiang Chenian was left speechless. Just then, my phone rang. It was Lin Ruoxi calling. I glanced at Jiang Chenian, then answered the phone. Miss Shen. I did as you said. Lin Ruoxi's voice was trembling a little. I told Jiang Chenian that I'm pregnant, and he's on his way over here. Rig. HT now. Good, I said with satisfaction. Remember, make it convincing. After hanging up, I looked at Jiang Chenian, who wore a face full of confusion. Your little sweetheart has something to tell you. Aren't you going to see her? What is it? She says she's pregnant. I said lightly. The child is yours. Jiang Chenian froze completely, as if struck by lightning. It's impossible. How could she be pregnant? Why would it be impossible? I sneered. You two were so much in love, having a child is perfectly normal, isn't it? No. That's not right. We've always been very careful. No matter how careful you are, accidents still happen. I looked at his panicked expression, feeling exhilarated. Jiang Chenian. Congratulations, you're going to be a father. I don't want this child. Jiang Chenian suddenly turned hysterical. I don't want it. Watching him fall apart, a wave of satisfaction surged through me. This was the price of betrayal. Jiang Chenian. Scared now, I looked down at him coldly. Why didn't you think about the consequences when you cheated in the first place? Wife, please. Save me. Jiang Chenian clung to my leg. I really know I was wrong. I don't want to divorce you. I don't want to lose you. It's too late. I kicked him away. Jiang Chenian, I'm giving you one last chance. Return the 50 million to me immediately, and then we'll divorce. I don't have any money. No money. I took out a document. Then we'll enforce the contract terms. Your company's shares now belong to me. No. Jiang Chunyan tried to snatch the documents, but Gu Hanzhen stopped him. Mr. Jiang, please calm down. Gu Hanzhen's tone was very polite, but the force in his hand was far from gentle. Let go of me. Jiang Chunyan struggled. Shin Qingya, you can't treat me like this. We're husband and wife. We won't be for long. Without looking back, I walked toward the door. Gu Hanzhen, call security and have him escorted out. Yes, Mr. Shen. As I walked out of the reception room, I heard Jiang Chunyan's roar behind me, but I no longer cared. A 3-year marriage came to an end just like that. 9. The divorce proceedings went very smoothly, although Jiang Chenian was unwilling. Before ironclad evidence, he had no choice at all. Infidelity, misappropriating marital assets, deceiving a spouse, any of these were sufficient grounds for divorce. What's more, he was now facing a whole string of problems, his company on the verge of bankruptcy, the banks hounding him for debts, tax penalties, and more. He simply had no energy to keep entangling himself with me. Ms. Shen, you can take this divorce certificate and proceed with the division of assets. The lawyer handed me the documents. According to the agreement, Mr. Jiang's company shares and all his debts have been transferred to you. I took the divorce certificate. My feelings in utter turmoil. I used to think I would grow old with Jiang Chunyan. Only for it to end like this. Also, regarding those assets, Mr. Jiang concealed. We have already filed for property preservation. The lawyer continued. The real estate, vehicles, and stocks under his name will all be frozen to repay the debt. Does that include the villa he bought for Lin Ruoshi? Of course it does. The lawyer nodded. That house was purchased with marital property, which makes it an unlawful transfer of assets. It must be recovered. Just thinking about the expression on Lin Ruoshi's face when she found out the house was going to be taken back made me want to laugh. The price of greed. She was finally going to bear it. As I stepped out of the law firm, Gu Hansen was already waiting for me outside. Is everything taken care of? He asked. I'm finally free. I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I ever had before. What are your plans next? First, I'll head back to the company and deal with the mess on Jiang Chuanan's side. And then, I looked at him. Then I want to take a vacation. For how long? I don't know. Maybe a month. Maybe half a year. I smiled. Depends on my mood. Gu Hanshen nodded and asked nothing further. But I knew what he wanted to ask. He wanted to ask how I felt about him. Whether there could be anything between us. To be honest, I didn't know the answer either. After experiencing Jiang Chunyan's betrayal, I had already lost faith in love. Perhaps I needed time to take a fresh look at my own heart and redefine what love truly was. Back at the company, I began handling matters related to Jiang Chunyan's company. Though it was called a mess, it wasn't actually as bad as I had imagined. Although Jiang Chunyan's company was burdened with debt, its core business was still solid. With a thorough restructuring, it could absolutely become profitable again. Mr. Shen. These are the financial statements of Mr. Jiang's company. Gu Hansen placed the documents on my desk. Aside from the bank loan and the tax penalties, the other debts aren't too serious. I flipped rough the statements, already calculating a restructuring plan in my mind. How are the key employees holding up? Most of them were willing to stay. Only a few members of management resigned. Gu Hansen said, including Lin Ruoshi. She resigned. I raised an eyebrow. When did that happen? Yesterday. Gu Hanshen's tone turned faintly amused. I heard it was because she was pregnant and needed to rest to protect the baby. I couldn't help but laugh. This Lin Ruoshi is actually quite serious about acting. By the way, where is Jiang Chunyan now? I asked curiously. At the hospital. The hospital. I froze for a moment. Is he sick? Psychiatry. Gu Hansen said lightly. Last night he caused a scene at Lin Ruoshi's doorstep, and the neighbors called the police. After the police arrived, they found that his mental state was abnormal. So they sent him to the hospital for examination. His mental state was abnormal. The doctor said it was an acute stress reaction. Put simply, he was overstimulated, which caused mental confusion. Gu Hansen explained. It took me a long while to finally make sense of it. Is Jiang Chunyan crazy? Is it serious? I asked. The doctor said he needs to stay in the hospital for observation for a while. Gu Hansen looked at me. Would you like to go see him? I thought it over, then shook my head. No need. We're no longer related. Though she said that aloud, there was still a tangle of complicated emotions in her heart. After all, they had been husband and wife for 3 years. Jiang Chunyan turning out like this was not something she could she bore no responsibility for it all. But the moment she thought of his betrayal, the moment she thought of how he had deceived her, all that sympathy vanished. This was the retribution he deserved. President Shen. I have some good news. Gu Hansen suddenly said. What good news? The matter with Lin Ruoshi has been exposed. What do you mean? She was never pregnant at all. She was just trying to extort money from Jiang Chenian. A trace of coldness flashed in Gu Hanshen's eyes. Yesterday, Jiang Chenian caused a scene at her doorstep because he had discovered her lie. How was she found out? I asked curiously. Jiang Chenian forcibly took her to the hospital for an examination, only to discover that not only was she not pregnant, she had also taken contraceptives, Gu Hanshen said. Jiang Chenian fell apart on the spot. After hearing that, I couldn't help but sigh. Lin Ruoshi's move was too ruthless. It was basically stabbing Jiang Chenian straight in the heart. But what she didn't know was that all of this had been arranged by me. How is Lin Ruoshi doing now? She's gone into hiding, Gu Hanshen said. I heard her house was seized by the bank, and now she's homeless. Serves her right. I thought to myself, this is what greed leads to. 10. A month later, my life finally returned to peace. I had overhauled Jiang Chuanan's company and renamed it Q India Technology, and its performance was thriving day by day. As for Jiang Chunan himself, he was still in the hospital. I heard his condition had improved somewhat, but it would still take time for him to fully recover. Lin Ruoshi had completely disappeared. Some said she had gone back to her hometown. Others said she'd found a new sugar daddy. Either way, none of it had anything to do with me anymore. Mr. Shen, has today's meeting been cancelled? Gu Hanshen asked as he knocked and came in. It's cancelled. I closed the file. There hasn't been much going on lately, so there's no need to hold meetings every day. What would you like to do today? Looking at the sunlight outside the window, I suddenly had an idea. Come with me to see the sea. The sea. Gu Hanshen froze for a moment. Now. I stood up. It's been a long time since I last saw the sea. An hour later, we arrived at the seaside. This was a little-known beach, with few tourists and a quiet, peaceful atmosphere. I took off my shoes and walked barefoot on the sand, feeling the sea breeze on my skin. Comfortably? Gu Hanshen asked, standing beside me. Very comfortable. I closed my eyes. I feel completely relaxed. President Shen. Gu Hanshen suddenly called me. Do you regret it? Regret what? I opened my eyes and looked at him. Regret taking revenge on Jiang Chenian. I thought about it for a moment, then shook my head. I don't regret it. My voice was steady. He betrayed me, so he should pay the price. Then do you hate him? No, not anymore. I looked at the waves in the distance. Hating someone is too exhausting. I don't want to waste my time on that kind of feeling. Gu Hanshen nodded and said nothing more. We stood there quietly by the seashore, listening to the sound of the waves. A long time passed before Gu Hanshen finally spoke. President Shen, I have a question I'd like to ask you. What question? If time could be turned back, would you still choose to get married? This question left me silent for a long time. I don't know, I answered honestly. Maybe I would. Maybe I wouldn't. Why? Because I've lost faith in love, I said with a bitter smile. Jiang Chenian taught me one thing. Never trust anyone completely, even me. Gu Hanshen asked suddenly. I turned to look at him. At the man who had been by my side for 3 years. There was anticipation in his eyes, and unease as well. Hanshen, why are you asking this question? Because I want to know what place I hold in your heart. His voice was very soft. For these past 3 years, I've been waiting for a chance. Waiting for you to notice me. I know, I said softly. Actually, I've known for a long time. Then what is your answer? Looking into the sincerity in his eyes, a warm current rose in my heart. Gu Hanshen was a good man. Without a doubt. He was gentle, considerate, and loyal. Most importantly, He had never betrayed me. But was I truly ready to accept a new relationship? Hanshin. Give me some time. Will you? I said. I need time to sort out my feelings. I understand. Gu Hansen nodded. I'll wait for you. Why? I asked curiously. Why wait for me? You could easily find a girl who's a better match. Because I love you. His answer was simple and direct. From the moment I first saw you, I knew you were the one I was meant to wait for. Hearing those words, something stirred in my heart. This was the first time I had ever heard such a sincere confession from a man's lips. Jiang Chunian had never spoken to me like that. Not even in our sweetest days. If I said I might never fall in love with you, what then? I asked tentatively. Then I'll wait forever. Gu Hanshin's tone was unwavering. Being able to protect you is my greatest happiness. Looking at the resolute expression on his face, I suddenly understood what true sincerity meant. Perhaps I should give myself a chance. And give him a chance as well. Hansen. I held out my hand. Would you walk with me? He took my hand without the slightest hesitation. His hand was warm, filling me with a sense of being protected. That was something Jiang Chunian had never given me. Perhaps this was the beginning of love. 11. 3 months later, Gu Hansen and I were together. The news caused quite a stir in the company. But it quickly settled down. After all, compared with the melodramatic marriage between Jiang Chunian and me, this relationship seemed pure and beautiful. Gu Hansen was very good to me, attending to every detail of my life. He remembered what flavor of coffee I liked. Bao. Tea me late-night snacks when I worked overtime. And quietly stayed by my side when I was in a bad mood. That feeling of being cared for so thoughtfully gradually made me forget the hurt Jiang Chunian had caused me. Qingya. Let's go see a movie this weekend. Gu Hansen suggested. What movie are we watching? I asked. A romance. He said with a smile. I want to watch a beautiful love story with you. I nodded, feeling very good. Being with Gu Hansen every day felt full and joyful. He made me believe in love again. And he also made me believe again that I was worthy of being loved. Oh, by The Wei. Have you heard? Gu Hansen suddenly said. Jiang Chunian was discharged from the hospital. I froze for a moment. When did that happen? Last week. Gu Hansen said. I heard he wanted to find a job, but no company was willing to hire him. I felt a mix of emotions after hearing that. Although I no longer hated Jiang Chunian, hearing about his current situation still stirred something in me. Where is he now? I asked. At his parents' home. Gu Hansen said. I heard Lin Ruoshi has come back to working as a clerk at a small company. Are they still together? I don't know. Gu Hansen shook his head. But I heard Jiang Chunian has been wanting to see you. To apologize. I fell silent for a moment. Do you think I should see him? It depends on what you want. Gu Hansen said. If you want to completely let go of the past, then meeting him once wouldn't hurt. If you think it's unnecessary, then don't meet. I thought about it, and in the end decided to meet him. Not for Jiang Chunian, but for myself. I wanted to tell him myself that I was already living well. And I also wanted to bring this chapter of the past to a complete close. The meeting was set at a cafe. Jiang Chunian arrived half an hour earlier than the appointed time and was waiting for me by the window. When I walked into the cafe, I almost didn't recognize him. In just 3 months, he had aged a great deal, and much of his hair had turned white. He looked utterly haggard. Qingya, seeing me, he immediately stood up. You're here. Sit down. I took my seat across from him. What do you want to say? I want to apologize to you. Jiang Chunian's voice was a little hoarse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you. And then, I asked calmly. I know saying sorry is useless, but I have to say it. He looked at me. His eyes filled with remorse and reluctance. Qingya. I really know I was wrong. So what if you know you were wrong? I lifted my coffee and took a sip. Jiang Chunian. Some mistakes can never be forgiven. I know. He lowered his head. I just want to tell you that these past few months, I've regretted it every single day. Regretted what? Regretted that I found out. Or regretted hurting me. I regret hurting you. He lifted his head and looked at me. Qingya. You are the best woman I've ever met. I shouldn't have betrayed you. Listening to his words, not a ripple stirred in my heart. Once, I thought I would hate him for the rest of my life. Only now did I realize that I had already completely lost all feelings for him. Jiang Chui. If you knew I was so good, why did you betray me in the first place? I asked. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Is it because Lin Ruoshi is younger and prettier? Or because you think I'm not good enough? I went on. Neither. Jiang Chunian shook his head. I was bewitched by my own folly. It was me who never cherished what I had. Bewitched by your own folly. I let out a cold laugh. Jiang Chunian. You're still making excuses for yourself even now. I wasn't making excuses. You were. I cut him off. A man who truly loves his wife would never betray her, no matter what temptations he faces. The only reason you betrayed me was because you never truly loved me in the first place. Jiang Chunai was left speechless by my words. Qingya. Can you give me a chance? After a long while, he finally spoke. I want to start over. Start over. I looked at him. Jiang Chunian. Do you really think that's possible? I know it's hard, but I'm willing to spend my whole life making it up to you. He pleaded. Qingya. I really can't live without you, but I can live without you. I stood up. Jiang Chunian. It's over between us. Completely over. Qingya. He tried to take my hand, but I dodged him. Don't come looking for me again. I looked at him. We're strangers now. With that said, I walked out of the cafe without looking back. As I walked down the street, I felt a sense of relief like never before. At last, I had truly let go of the past. From this day on, I will live for myself and for the one who truly loves me. 12. 1 year later, Gu Hanxin and I got married. The wedding was simple, with only family and close friends invited, and without too many cumbersome ceremonies. Yet even such a simple wedding made me feel a happiness I had never known before. Qingya. Will you marry me? Gu Hanxin knelt on one knee, holding a ring in his hand. I will, I answered without hesitation. The moment the ring was slipped onto my finger, I knew I had finally found the happiness that truly belonged to me. Gu Hanxin is not Jiang Chunian. He won't betray me, won't lie to me, and he'll never hurt me. He will spend his whole life loving me and protecting me. This is the kind of love I want, simple and pure. After the wedding was over, we went on our honeymoon in a small seaside cottage. We slept in each other's arms, listening to the sound of the waves. Qingya. Are you happy? Gu Hanxin gently stroked my hair. Very happy. I nuzzled against his chest. I've never been this happy before. That's good. He kissed my forehead. I'll keep you this happy forever. I believed him, because he never lied. Sometimes I would wonder, if I hadn't discovered Jiang Chunyan's betrayal back then, what would things be like now? Perhaps I would still be struggling in that loveless marriage. Perhaps I would never have met Gu Hanxin. So in a sense, I even have Jiang Chunyan's betrayal to thank. It was his betrayal that made me see clearly what true love was. And it was also what led me to the most important person in my life. What are you thinking about? Gu Hanxin asked. I'm thinking about our future, I said with a smile. Do you think we'll keep being this happy forever? Of course we will. His tone was resolute. Because I'll use my life to protect our love. Listening to his words, a warm current surged through my heart.